You want to talk about leaving a legacy? A legendary Broncos player is remembered for his humble kindness.
He was just the most warm, kindest superstar that you could ever meet.
We remember Demaryius Thomas, and we honor his love for children in need by making their holidays happen this year through the nonprofit DT chose to help. DIA is hoping it could borrow just $1 billion or so to finish the airport renovation. Meet the mayor of Flavortown, not that one, this one. Mayor Hancock's veto keeps flavored tobacco legal in the city. Another young Coloradan is determined to make snow days great again. And the 277th Friday of Your Good News is even cheerier than usual. That's next. Let us all hope to be the kind of man or woman who's remembered for more important things than what we did for a living. Demaryius Thomas was that kind of man. One of the best wide receivers in Broncos history, sure. Super Bowl champion, yes. But Demaryius Thomas, who died yesterday at the age of 33, was a man of immense compassion and care for others. If you met him, then you know. Marshall Zellinger has this remembrance.
He was just the most warm, kindest superstar that you could ever meet. He would always hug me. Whenever I'd see him, he would come up and give me just the biggest hug and tell me how much he loved me.
Dan Durkee, father of Drake Durkee, an attendee of the Demaryius Thomas football camp in 2014.
The reason that Demaryius and Drake connected was that Drake is the first person to camp. He was the last person to leave. He was the first person at every drill. The next year, my son, Drake, was killed in a rafting accident.
From that personal tragedy, the Durkees found a new friend.
Once Demaryius found out that Drake passed away, it was his idea. He called us and said, I would really like to have an award in Drake's name to inspire other campers and other children to try that hard in school, at home, on the football field.
That's how the Drake Durkee Courage Award began.
And he used Drake as an example for the other campers.
Dan would speak at the football camps, meet the kids who were given his son's award, and strengthen a bond with a Super Bowl winning athlete.
He would ask me if he could do anything for me, if I needed anything, if he could do anything for the family. And he's the superstar. He introduced us to his mother when she got out of prison, and we went to a couple of Bronco games with her and went to training camp and sat with her.
You hear of people who wear their heart on their sleeve. Demaryius wore his on his wrist.
He was a wide receiver, Drake. Drake wore number 88. You can see 88 is on my necklace and 88 is on my wristband, which, by the way, Demaryius wore for the rest of his career.
I could have played just that 15-minute interview with Dan Durkee, and you'd still only get a glimpse of what we're hearing everyone say about Demaryius Thomas. Kyle, my favorite story from Dan is that he said DT would send him emails about career thoughts or ask advice financially. Hey, what do you think about this?
Really?
And that's the rare side, the human side, that you don't hear so much about athletes.
Yeah. It's clear everything that we've heard about DT since the news of his passing came out last night. There's no way to fake what he did. The way that he cared for people, the way that he connected with people, the way that he gave of himself to other people. It was entirely genuine.
I've seen so many videos of not just his camps, but when he made visits as a Bronco to kids in school, and just the joy you could see. Sometimes you think an athlete's like, I just got to get this hour over with and then go back to work out or rest, but it was clear that DT and others out there just really enjoy that connection with the community.
Demaryius Thomas passed away just short of his 34th birthday. Medical issue at his home in Georgia. All right, Marshall, thank you. Demaryius Thomas was a kind and humble man who happened to play football for a living. He had a heart for children after his own difficult upbringing with his mother and grandmother in prison. DT once said that kids just want someone to say, I care about you. I'd like to read you more of what Demaryius Thomas wrote for Players Tribune in 2015. As men, as athletes especially, DT wrote, we don't like to talk about love. We talk about brotherhood and all that, but not love. It's the most important thing in a child's life, more important than the kind of school you go to or what neighborhood you live in, or even if you grow up around drugs or alcohol, DT wrote. If you are loved, you'll make it out. Demaryius Thomas knew that not every child gets all the love they need from their parents. So you could see he shared his time and love with all the kids he met. If we want to remember Demaryius Thomas, make time for a child. To honor DT, show love to a child. To celebrate the legacy of a kind and humble man who happened to play football for a living, tell a child that you care about him. Demaryius Thomas was a celebrity ambassador for the nonprofit A Precious Child because he knew what it was like to grow up in a tough situation. And that nonprofit just happens to be our Word of Thanks microgiving project for the week, as A Precious Child works to deliver holiday gifts to 13,000 kids in Colorado. I think the DT would be proud to see how many of you have stepped up to help this week. You have raised $75,000 for A Precious Child since Wednesday night. I had a thought this afternoon. I know we always ask for $5. I'm in for another $88 for number 88. Maybe some of you are willing and able to do the same thing, or really any amount helps. You can scan that QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491. Heads up on the text system, if you're a T-Mobile or Sprint customer, you need to use the QR code or go to our website because they block our text links. A Precious Child is buying holiday gifts for 11,000 kids in the metro area and up in Weld County. And then they've got another 2,000 kids who were recently added to an emergency referral list by schools and community organizations. And our hope with this week's Word of Thanks campaign is to raise enough money to cover gifts for all those kids, too. Home improvement projects always go over budget and over time, so I don't know why it's such a big deal that the airport just needs like another $1 billion in 4 years to finish its renovation. The airport's asking City Council to approve an additional $1.1 billion in spending and borrowing to finish the Great Hall project, which years ago ceased to be great and is now just a project. Security was supposed to be moved up a level by now, but DIA fired the first contractor and paid them to go away. Plans were scaled back, and now DIA wants to scale them back up again. The extra $1 billion would allow for all of the original plan to be completed, so TSA security would move to the upper level, ticketing and check-in would expand, baggage claim would get fixed up, and the airport would upgrade its escalators, so you can send us pictures of newer escalators that are regularly out of service. Denver Mayor Michael Hancock does not veto a lot of bills. He doesn't have to. City Council usually does what he wants. Hancock did not want City Council to ban flavored tobacco products, so today the mayor issued just his second veto in 10 years. Denver City Council's plan bans flavored menthol cigarettes, chewing tobacco, and vaping products in all Denver businesses starting in July of 2023. Cigars, hookah, and pipe tobacco would have been exempt from this. The mayor had previously expressed support for a ban but said that it needed to be done statewide. He cited that as well as concern about the impact on businesses in his veto. City Council would need to come up with one more vote for the ban in order to override his veto. One more city councilor. Mayor Hancock's only previous veto was when City Council tried to lift the pit bull ban last year. That eventually went to voters who sided with City Council to make pits legal in the city. Council is going to vote Monday on whether to override Hancock on the flavored tobacco ban. Travel across America was beyond tricky for Black Americans during the Jim Crow era. It was dangerous, and violence was a real threat. That's why a man named Victor Hugo Green published a guide of places that were welcoming to Black Americans. A book that hasn't been updated since the 1960s. Researchers here in Colorado are looking into a modern-day version. Here's Victoria De Leon.
So the Green Book was developed out of necessity for Black American travelers. They wanted to make sure that they could find places where they would not be discriminated against.
Stepping back into history.
So this one's from 1938, 1947, 1954, in 1963.
Makes Jamaica Lewis reflect on the present.
I do. I think about the present. I think about the prevalence of racism and discrimination and bigotry.
Which is why even in 2021, she could see how a modern-day Green Book would be useful. Researchers at CU Boulder found the Green Book held similarities with Black Twitter.
But essentially, Black Twitter is a space on Twitter in which Black people coalesce around Black identity, Black culture.
Doctoral student Shamika Klassen is leading the research.
Both of them provided information sharing opportunities to the Black community. There were some elements of social justice and even activism across the two.
In searching hashtags like Black Lives Matter, Black Twitter, and those with While Black in them, they found a diverse digital community rooted in solidarity.
My goal with my research is to look at how Black people appropriate, create, and even imagine technologies to survive and thrive.
Back in Denver, Jamaica called this research groundbreaking.
Yeah, I'm not on Twitter, and people keep telling me I need to.
As she reflects on the past and present, she's excited about how this research will impact the future.
After this, I probably will sign up for Twitter.
So Shamika says that she is fully aware that she is researching a marginalized community. And now, Kyle, she's working on a paper about how to ethically conduct research in these spaces. The goal in that being that academic researchers will still respect users' privacy and original content on a public platform.
So it seems like this could kind of have a ripple effect out from the updated Green Book project to other research, other projects.
Oh, absolutely. And I did spend some time at the Blair Caldwell Library, and the librarian there says it'd be really interesting. There are so many untold stories within the Green Book itself. There is a section on Colorado where there were safe spaces in Colorado for Black Americans. She's interested in looking up those people, those stories, and why those businesses aren't there today.
Blair Caldwell's an amazing resource for the community. All right, Victoria DeLeon, thank you.
For me, a snow day means time to relax, chill, and drink hot chocolate. Now I can't do that because snow days got taken away.
The kids are putting us adults on notice. The snow day revolution will be televised. It's Friday. I think we could all use a boost of energy. I'm not even Horizon and I'm jacked up now. Your good news. Cheer style. Next.
Finally, Denver, our first official snowfall in the books and our latest for snow on record. Only about 0.3 of an inch out at DIA. We'll take what we can get, and a lot of folks here in the metro area, less than 2 inches. This storm was meant for the mountains. Look at that, a couple of feet around Purgatory through Crested Butte. Not too bad. This weekend is going to be awesome for skiers and snowboarders with all of that powder. This system still pushing out of the state, clearing skies moving in tonight. That means single digits, teens, possibly sub-zero in the mountains, and we'll drop off to about 10 here in Denver. High pressure is around. It keeps us dry for the weekend, but also pretty windy. In fact, a high wind warning going up in the foothills. Wind gusts upwards of 80 miles per hour through Sunday morning. Temperatures starting to warm. Will be in the 40s for your Saturday, 60s on Sunday. We keep it mild until the middle of next week when we could possibly see some rain.
Before COVID, we had snow days, so why can't they come back now that we are to a more normal year? Snow days don't happen a lot in Colorado, so it's nice to have them every once in a while. So please give us our snow days back.
The rule here on Next is that we do not take a position on policy, like for or against a tax hike, for instance. But we do advocate on this program for shared community values like honesty and transparency and accountability. Along the way, we decided that snow days are not a policy, they're a shared community value. We are pro-snow day here. That was 10-year-old Finley Mowat, 5th grader in the St. Vrain Valley School District. He's been trying to bring snow days back since the district replaced them with online learning days. He wrote a letter to district leaders and didn't get a response, so he showed up there at that school board meeting. He's got an online petition going. He's trying to convince leaders that online learning days are a waste of time.
It's not really the work that we were meant to do. Like, if we had a normal day, we'd do different stuff. If
It's
there
just
was
busy work.
It's just like not actual normal schoolwork, like not something you do at school. The problem is online learning, because like the online learning got rid of a lot of stuff. And to solve it, because we lost a bunch of time, they're doing more online learning. It just doesn't make sense.
We have seen these kid-led revolutions for snow days work. Remember this guy, Denver's Charlie Carabetta? Charlie staged a sled hill protest with his friends when DPS got rid of snow days for online learning. The adults in DPS listened. They specifically said, we heard what Charlie and his friends said, and Denver brought snow days back.
A football player who didn't win a championship decided to try a new sport.
Yeah, I'm good at football, but I kind of like the cheer thing. I think, if I could go to college for it, I think I would.
Your Friday good news is peppy. Very peppy. And it's next.
277 Fridays worth of your good news has taken us a lot of places. I don't think we've ever been somewhere with so much spirit. Our photojournalist Tom Cole headed south today in search of the answer to our favorite question. What's your good news?
My good news is that we just did a great routine in our state prelims.
I get nerves, but I know how to channel them. My good news is that I got my AP Bio grade up to an A yesterday.
It takes a lot of hard work and dedication.
My good news is I've got into 2 colleges so far that I've applied to, CSU and CU Denver, and I also have a new baby sister.
I honestly love the idea of guys cheerleading. They can be so useful for like stunts and everything.
As soon as football ended, we started this. All of us are 4-sport athletes and we just like to compete. So we're here to win.
My good news is I might be able to walk next week.
It's all about the competition. My good news is we're a 2A school at a state competition.
My good news that I have not told anybody is I got into Regis and University of Colorado Boulder on an $80,000 scholarship.
Right before state, I broke my foot. Obviously, I'm not allowed to compete, and now the good news.
I really like being with my friends, so that's good news.
My good news is my cousin came out to surprise me. She flew out here to surprise me for my last state.
My good news is I might be casted for the lead role, the lion, in The Wizard of Oz at my school. My good news is our football team made it to state. And then my second thing is that I got a 98 on my anatomy test, which I was super proud of.
My good news is I'm here, able to watch my team grow and develop in ways that I never thought they would.
We just got off the mat and they did absolutely amazing.
There's a lot to love in there, but my favorite was definitely, boys, they can be useful. It's like the sloppy guy who ruins your group photo at the bar, only this guy weighs more than 1,000 pounds. It's a very Colorado photo bomb, and your feedback next. Dude, don't cover up the logo. That's really rude. That apparently is common moose behavior, however. Proof of that from the elk in the foreground, kind enough to pose for a photo for Richard at Rocky Mountain National Park a few years ago. Then the bull moose decides to crash the party. Look close. Richard says you can tell that the moose scared the elk because look at the hairs on their rear ends. That's how you can tell. Those rumps, those elk rumps. 5 years of the program. Never had an appropriate time to say rump on TV before, so what a wonderful time to be alive. Turing writes in tonight and feedback says, you know, it's really sad that people of color still need something akin to the Green Book. Agreed, but I'm glad we could have that conversation tonight. Jonathan Wolfer says, thanks for the suggestion to give to a precious child $88 for number 88, Demarius Thomas. I can't explain to you how we happen to be featuring that nonprofit the week that we learned of his passing. I'm glad we were. See you next time.